Welcome back to OVC Media Day live for the Doubletree in Evansville, Indiana, brought to you by CenterPoint Energy. And we promised off the top we're going to meet some new members of the Ohio Valley Conference. We're going to start first with Little Rock, head coach Joe Foley and Kayla Brooks. And, Coach, you've been around a long time.
Been a long time.
Been a long time. Kind of take us through that journey.
Oh, it all started at a real small high school and went up to Arkansas Tech, and now I'm at Little Rock, so this is my 44th year coaching.
Now, 20-plus nearly at Little Rock, correct?
This will be 20 years, Little Rock.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So how kind of give us the secret sauce. What's the secret sauce to
Play
longevity?
Play hard. Get kids to play hard. If you can do that, you got a chance of winning.
Yeah, and we're going to talk to Jayla about that very same thing in just a moment. As far as so we're going to actually, as we have the players today, they're going to tell on the coaches. So be prepared for that. We got Jayla.
I already told her. I said, don't tell them the coach is a big guy, big bang.
Well, wait a minute. You never know when the camera rolls.
That's right.
Describe your style of play. What can we expect from a Joe Foley team?
Defense is where we started all. We led our conference for probably 15 years in scoring defense, so that's kind of where it all starts, and that's what I'm saying. We try to get our kids to really play hard.
What's that perfect number for scoring defense?
Usually if we keep teams below 60, we got a good chance of winning.
I was going to go 50, so
it's pretty close sometimes. Yeah.
You gave yourself a little bit of margin in there.
A little bit of room right there.
All right, Jayla, you're new to the program. Talk a little bit about your decision to go to Little Rock.
Yes, sir. So this is my first year here at Little Rock, so I've been excited with what we've all been working on so far. You know, he's been emphasizing defense, like he said. He takes a lot of pride in it, and so I think me and my teammates take a lot of pride in it too. So if you stop a team from scoring, gives us a pretty good chance to win at whatever game we play.
You know, coaches recruit, one of the 50 job responsibilities they have. But when you, on the other hand, are kind of recruiting or scouting schools as well, when you were making a decision to transfer, talk a little bit about what into your process with that.
So when I first entered the transfer portal, leaving my JUCO, I remembered that Coach Foley and his coaching staff had recruited me out of high school. So I think that played a big part in me deciding to go ahead and come to Little Rock, because I already knew that they knew what I could do, they knew what I could bring to the table, and that just helped my decision a lot.
Tell me about your major and what you're studying.
I'm a criminal justice major, and I'm also aiming to get a certificate in cybersecurity, because that's what I plan to go into once I graduate.
That's the way to go, that's for sure. So how many tabs are open in your iPhone right now if you're a cybersecurity person?
A lot, actually. It's kind of embarrassing. I should probably close some of them whenever I'm finished. Thank you for reminding me.
So you can't leave it open. It's a security risk. You should know that.
I use a VPN sometimes to, help protect my security, make sure no one gets my information and stuff like that.
Okay. Joe Foley playing for, I'm going to be calm with the word legend, but a guy that's been around a long time. You said you kind of scouted the program out. He had recruited you before. What's different from Coach Foley than some other coaches that you played for?
Oh, he might not agree with this, but I would say he's a bit more calm when it comes to some of the coaches I've played with. He might not think that, but I do think he's calmer. I feel like he takes more time to break things down because he wants his players to get what he's trying to teach us. So he'll take his time, break everything down one by one, and then he'll start to implement it once we get into 5-on-5, 4-on-4, and I think it really helps us pick everything up and help us get everything going when it comes down to it.
So I'm going to ask him this question, but I want to ask you as well. Describe the type of offense and defense. He said he's a defensive-minded kind of coach. Is that something that attracts you?
Yes, I love defense. If we can stop the other team from scoring, everything else should come pretty easy.
Okay. Talk about, Joe, your longevity at Little Rock. It's been it's impressive nonetheless in this day of coaches coming and going a little bit. What's kind of been your anchor? What's kind of been the reason you've stayed?
Well, I grew up in Arkansas, so Arkansas is where I've been my whole life. It's been my home. Little Rock's the central part of Arkansas. It's it's the capital, and everything takes place there. And I thought it was a place I could go and build a great program. There's not any pro teams, football there, so we get a lot of attention that a lot of schools don't get in women's basketball. So I've enjoyed it. We've got a lot of fan support. We've got great people that support us. So that kind of keeps me as a coach. I've never been the one that, looking for the next job. I've always been satisfied. Little Rock came after me, and they wanted me, so that made it a little bit easier decision. So that's kind of I'm pretty loyal to my programs.
I noticed your profile worked some with the U.S. Olympic team and some of that. Talk a little bit about how that experience happened.
Well, that was quite a few years back, but it was so amazing. I think that you had the East, North, South, West, and Coach Blair was there that just retired from A&M, and some of the coaches I got to know, Bill Finley, Iowa State, some great coaches, and most of the I think out of our 12 players, I think 6 of them ended up going pro that next year. So you're working with some of the best players in the country and in the world. So it was just an amazing experience, and to be involved in an Olympic event like that, where I remember Jackie Joyner-Kersee was there, and all those top people there, and where you lived in the Olympic Village type, and it was just amazing to be able to be a part of that.
Little Rock, as you mentioned, pretty much anchors Arkansas. If you ask anybody of that, pretty fertile recruiting ground. What has been your expectations or your experience rather?
It has. I think that anybody, especially, we've got a region that we pretty well recruit out of. 6 hours, something like that. St. Louis, Dallas. It's been a great recruiting, and they all know where Little Rock is. You just say we're Little Rock, and they say, okay, I know where Little Rock is. And it's amazing to me how many parents, how many homes I've been in where the parents say, I got relatives that live in Little Rock, Pine Bluff, in that area. So anytime you got relatives and stuff that people there, it makes it a little bit more attractive to the kids.
Jayla, you have a high school teammate on your team as well at Little Rock. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Tia Harvey. We've grown up together. I've known her since 2nd grade.
Wow.
So, yeah, I've actually enjoyed playing with her a lot coming out here. It kind of also helped my decision to come here, knowing that, I already had a coaching staff that knew me, and then somebody I also consider family also helped a lot.
At what point did Jayla decide, I'm going to be a college basketball player?
Very young, actually. I want to say I decided as soon as I got to middle school, 6th grade, realizing, okay, I can actually do this. I need to start taking this seriously. This is something I want to do by the time I get to that age where I need to make a decision.
Give me your best pregame ritual. I'm going to ask coaches, too, but I'm curious. I'm always curious with student athletes, that question.
Okay, so it starts out, I'm going to stretch. I'm going to have my AirPods in, listen to J. Cole. That's my favorite artist.
J. Cole, okay.
Make sure I know the scouting report. Make sure I know whoever my matchup is. And then make sure I'm ready by the time coach is ready to give us our pregame talk.
Joe?
Usually I just kind of get into a quiet room before the game, just get my thoughts together, write down notes of things that I think we, make sure we cover in pregame, make sure we're ready to do in the game. And then, we usually go in and talk to the team about 15 minutes to go before game starts and go with a few final things. And to me personally, if they hadn't got it by then, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So once that game starts, I'm a coach that it's their game. I'm a practice coach. I try to get it done in practice. And then when it's game time, I tell the kids that this is your game. If I could go up in the stands and you play a great game, that means I did a great job in practice. And if you can't do it in the game, then we got to get back to practice.
Is that pretty much the case for you, too? What's practice like, I guess, is probably a more accurate description after what Coach just said.
Practices are pretty good. Coach has his plan. We go through all of it, and obviously he'll help us and correct us on anything we need to do. But like he said, he seems to be someone who's pretty ready to get everything out of the way in practice so it can be ready when game time comes.
So for both of you, I'll start with Coach. You're new to this league, been with the Sun Belt and for many, many years. What's the perception of this league, the Ohio Valley Conference, as far as women's basketball goes?
I think it's well known for women's basketball. I think it's a good basketball conference overall, men's and women's. So I think that helps us sell when we're recruiting. Being in the Sun Belt, pretty similar type conference. We're pretty similar. I played with some of these teams, and we pretty well know what we're getting into. Like I say, us Sun Belt are all have been similar for years. Our teams. RPIs, but pretty well the same top teams, and we've been one of the top teams in RPI in our conference, and I'm sure that it's going to be a tough conference, but I think we got a chance to compete very well.
Jayla, your thoughts? Little Rock had already made the announcement, I'm guessing, to the move to the Ohio Valley Conference. What are your thoughts of this conference? What do the fellow players that you're familiar with say about this conference?
I'm pretty new to this in general, so I just know that we all expect ourselves to come in and be a competitive team also. You know, I feel like we have a good chance to come in here, make some noise, and be competitive.
So I can remember this now. It's Jayla and Joe. We're okay. Thanks to both of you. Welcome to the Ohio Valley Conference. We'll see you at some venue along the way. And at some point in time, look forward to heading out west and meeting you as well. Jayla Brooks, Joe Foley with us from Little Rock. Got the men's side of things coming up. It's the Little Rock block as we move on with OVC Media Day presented by